Welcome back to 22 Savage TV. This is going to be a little segment I like to call Waiver Wednesdays. I'm going to go over a couple of selections that I think you should make. As we all know in fantasy football, the waiver wire clears usually on Wednesdays. Usually very early in the morning, like around maybe 3 a.m. So really you should try to make your targets earlier than that, maybe Tuesday, Monday, so I'll try to release these videos probably like Tuesday night so you can finalize your waiver wire selections, but they'll probably premiere on Wednesday, so we're going to call it Waiver Wednesdays. Come check us out every Wednesday. You'll be able to see who are the top targets you want to look at as far as adding to your team, because your team should always be fluid. It should always be changing. You should always be looking to improve, as is life, really, to be quite honest with you, not just in fantasy football but in life. So anyway, let's go ahead and look. I'm gonna start by going with let's see, I want to go actually and start with the guys that are on my watch list. These are guys, honestly, I would have them on my roster. The only thing is I don't have a lot of room. I mean, my roster is just loaded with talent. So, I just don't have room for these guys. But, perhaps you're not in that position on your fantasy league, and so maybe you want to take a look at some of these guys. And so not everybody on my watch list I'm going to go over. There are actually just a few I want to point out. So the first one I want to start with actually is the guy you see right here on top, Teddy B Bridgewater. I'm a big fan. I think, basically the NFL has just been trying to relegate him to a backup position, and Teddy's like, nah, I'm going to be a starter. So I'm rocking with Teddy B. I think he had a pretty good game. I mean, it was the Giants defense, of course. But one of the reasons why I'm high on Teddy is I actually looked at the schedule, and at least for his next 2 games, I think he has a really good chance of putting up some pretty good fantasy numbers. You can see his numbers here from last week. 20 fantasy points. Hey man, I would take it. I mean, I had Aaron Rodgers, and I don't even need to tell you what that looked like. And yet somehow I still came away with the victory. So, fantasy football, I knew that was some BS. I don't know how the heck he only had 1 point. But anyway, as you can see, Teddy B, I'm very high on. I think, he really has a chance to flourish. Like I said, his next opponent here is Jacksonville, and I think the one after that is the Jets. So definitely look to add Teddy if you're in a situation where you need a quarterback. Your quarterback has underperformed like mine did. So I had to do something, because I'm not just going to sit by and accept. If Aaron Rodgers falls apart this year, I need a contingency plan. So let's look at another one here. Actually, I want to go ahead and go to Teddy's teammate here, Tim Patrick. Man, I'm a big fan. I like what he did last year, and I like what he did in 2019. But he's a really good player. I think, obviously Jerry Judy's going to be gone for a few weeks. I think Tim Patrick is somebody you would want to look to add, in his stead, if you will. This guy he's just a playmaker. Like you see here, he only had 4 catches for 39 yards, but one of those catches was a touchdown. Somehow, some way, this guy always finds a way to make plays, and as you see, your fantasy will benefit from it. If you roll with this guy, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. He's one of those types of guys. Like, he'll always overperform, what the expectations are. So definitely want to look at Tim Patrick. Another guy I'm kind of high on, Derek Carr. Now, the reason why I skipped over him a while ago is because I wanted to mention, obviously, Teddy's teammate here, Tim Patrick, but also because for this week, I'm not really high on Derek Carr. He has a really tough matchup against a really good defense at Pittsburgh. So I don't think that, for this week, Derek Carr is a viable play. But after that, like I looked at his schedule, after that, and you see here, just for week 1, he ranked top 10. I think he has the potential to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback the rest of the way. As far as it goes with Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders, basically I'm looking at it like it's put up or shut up kind of time for John Gruden, for Derek Carr. I mean, he's dangerously close to, falling in my MBW category. He's dangerously, perilously close to being in that category. My MBW, or what did I just say? MWB, I should say. My MWB category. You never want to be in that category. So anyway, but I think he's gonna avoid that. Derek Carr is gonna be. Like I said, after this one game in Pittsburgh, like the rest of the year, if you put him in there, you're gonna get some decent fantasy points. So anyway, the other guys that I actually want to highlight, they're not on my watch list. The reason is because they were, but they got picked up by another team, and so when that happens, I just take them off because I want to keep my watch list as condensed as possible. So what I actually am gonna do now is go here to my recent activity, just point out a couple other guys you should target for Waiver Wednesday, guys. This is Waiver Wednesday. Hit the like button, subscribe, share it to all your friends, everybody. I appreciate the support. So anyway, the other guys I wanted to target, Christian Kirk. Let's see if we can pull him up here. He was picked up in my league. Like, I'm in a real deep league, so he wasn't gonna last. I mean, he had a real big one. As you can see here, 5 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns, 21.5 fantasy points. So, obviously the Cardinals got AJ Green, but I think Christian Kirk is actually the number 2 in that offense behind DeAndre Hopkins. Just as far as like how it's gonna pan out, him and Kyler Murray just have that connection. So definitely want to add him to your roster. I think he's a guy that could really pay huge dividends. So yeah, definitely add Christian Kirk. And while we're on the subject of the Cardinals, you definitely want to add the Cardinals defense. Oh my gosh, they played just lights out against the Titans, who we all thought was going to be a top offense. I mean, that defensive line is a monster. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. They got J.J. Watt. They got some savages. Pun intended. They got some savages on that defense over there. Hence why I went ahead and dropped a part of my little free agent budget here. Let's see, $30. I think it was well worth it. They were the number 1 defense, for week 1, and I think they have a chance to continue that momentum. I think a lot was made about some of the guys they lost in the secondary, obviously Patrick Peterson, but I think, it all starts up front. When you have that defensive line like that, and, obviously you get points for sacks in fantasy. They had 6 sacks. I think you get a point per sack. That's 6 points. You need that. Obviously had turnovers, an interception, 2 fumble recoveries. So when you got a defense that's flying around and active like that, I think that's definitely going to be an advantage to your team. And again, this is the reason why, if you watch the draft recap video, I said that I'm skipping off on defense until like the very end. I'm not going to waste some mid-round picks. Like, if you look at the results from week 1, the top 2 defenses that go in most fantasy drafts are who? Tampa Bay, their defense, and the Ravens. Well, they were actually two of the worst defenses in week 1. You know, Tampa Bay gave up 3 points. Like, you actually lost 3 points. That's how bad Tampa Bay's defense was. Dak Prescott carving them up. You know, shout out to Dak. And then the Ravens defense, we just saw on Monday night, you know, Derek Carr was bombs away. You know what I mean? Those were the top 2 defenses off the board in most fantasy drafts. And this defense, which was a top 10 defense last year, kind of flew under the radar last year. They weren't drafted. Like, I could have picked them up and not had to spend a dime on them. They were in the free agent pool in my league anyway. Just sitting there, basically. And so, you know, again, that you go watch the draft recap video I did. I know it's a little long, but I really broke down, like, basically fantasy football for dummies. Like, it's very elementary sort of explanations that I go through and then sort of explain to you, like, how you really accumulate and acquire a team full of savages, which is what I try to do, as you can see. So anyway, that's it for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe. I appreciate the support. If you want to donate, hit the links. Check y'all on the next one.